Hi everyone, happy Wicked Wednesday and welcome to Shivers Haunted. I am Gina Grossbauer, your curator for all things spooky. We've finally arrived at the end of August, and with the end of summer celebration of Labor Day creeping onto our doorstep this weekend, we know that that means that the best season is right around the corner, and the best holiday, Halloween. With this Halloween season, most of us are intrigued to attend some of the best Halloween haunted attractions across the country, but for some of us, that's not enough excitement to fill the autumn season. Today, we're going to talk about some of the most famously haunted places across the country, what makes them haunted, and what to expect if you decide to make a visit. From the year 2000 till 2006, there was a TV show called The Scariest Places on Earth. This show was created and presented by Linda Blair, the actress who played Regan, the little girl in the original Exorcist film. This TV show focused on, obviously, some of the most scary places on Earth, and even helped make some of the well-known haunted places as famous as they are today. Their search went around the world, but for North America in particular, they included places like the Lizzie Borden house, Alcatraz Prison, Eastern State Penitentiary, Lake Shawnee Amusement Park, and many more. One particular episode has stuck with me as I've grown up, and that was the episode focusing on the Magnolia Plantation in Louisiana. This is your traditionally pictured white mansion on a swampy plantation in Louisiana, but it's so much exactly like what you would expect that it makes it really weird to watch. This home is supposedly haunted by multiple generations of slaves that don't take too kindly to visitors. In this episode, Linda and the co-host tour the grounds at night, and so much stuff happens, it's insane. You might be able to find this episode and more of them just on YouTube. Another show worth mentioning is Paranormal State, which aired on A&E from 2007 till 2011, filling in the gap that the Scariest Places on Earth left. Paranormal State focused on a ghost hunting group founded at Penn State University that initially traveled across the state of Pennsylvania, interviewing owners of haunted estates and touring them at night. The leader of the group, Ryan, had horrible experiences with ghosts as a child and was determined to figure out the truth behind them. The group included psychics along their tours and gave the psychics zero information on the grounds beforehand. Even Lorraine Warren herself made a few appearances. This was one of my personal favorite TV shows growing up as a kid, and I loved the authenticity that I brought to the table, just a bunch of college kids taking ghost trips. Growing up in Pennsylvania as well, it helped me learn more about the local legends and even some places to go and tour. It's a really cool show for anyone to watch if they're thinking about getting into ghost hunting, and it's just a great show to watch and learn more about the haunts in the Northeast region of the US in particular. As a kid watching shows like The Scariest Places on Earth and Paranormal State, I learned a lot about the famous places around the world worth visiting and exploring. It's always interesting to talk about if ghosts are real or not, but it's even more fun to go visit somewhere that a ghost has been reported as seen, heard, felt, etc. Here's a list of some of the most famously haunted places across the world that are certainly on my bucket list as places to visit. Number one, my number one place on my bucket list for years has always been the Winchester Mansion, or the Winchester Mystery House. The Winchester Mystery House is located in San Jose, California, and was previously owned and created by Sarah Winchester, the widow of the creator of the Winchester rifle. She inherited his money and believed that the souls that were killed by the Winchester rifle would come to get her and haunt her. So she built a home with stairs leading to nowhere and rooms with hidden chambers in hopes of confusing the ghosts and keeping herself safe. She wanted it to constantly change and be unpredictable, and this became the world's longest home renovation, lasting from 1886 until 1922, only stopping when she died from heart failure. Over 12 million people have visited this home since then, and not one of them can decipher all of the hidden messages and passageways. This is a historic landmark worth visiting if you're into architecture, but also the most extreme case of ghost paranoia ever recorded. Staying in California and traveling down to Long Beach, we reached the Queen Mary ship. This ship hosted Hollywood royalty in the 1920s and 30s and turned into a World War II ship, docking finally in 1967 in California. It's said to be haunted by passengers who didn't want to leave the ship, and an engineer who died during construction. The ship now functions as a hotel, a wedding venue, and also a Halloween haunt. They do nighttime ghost tours as well, where you can explore the ship and do your own paranormal investigation. Continuing south, we get to the Island of the Dead Dolls, direct translation, or Doll Island. This is a very small actual island in Mexico, full of dolls donated to the land and found by local townsfolk. The story goes that a man moved to this island to get away from Mexico City and away from his ex-wife, only to find the body of a little girl dead and drowned in the river near the island. A few days later, a doll floated down the same river, and he strung it up outside as a sign of respect for the deceased little girl. He began to experience really strange things on this island and became convinced that it was the angry spirit of the little girl. So he strung up as many dolls as he could find. Eventually, he died as well, also drowning in that same river. Passers-by began leaving dolls as their marks of respect, and tourists started coming here to do the same. This island is now a popular tourist spot and even a spot on one of the Mexican macabre tours. I cannot wait for my opportunity to visit. I feel the eyes of all of these dolls staring at me. So creepy. In the Ukraine, there was previously a huge nuclear power plant called Chernobyl. Unfortunately, in 1986, there was a huge radiation leak causing the biggest nuclear disaster in history. Over 100,000 people had to evacuate their homes, and approximately 50 people died in the coming weeks due to horrific cancerous effects caused by the mass radiation. In recent history, there were some tour groups beginning to go there, seeing the massive destruction and the abandoned homes in the surrounding towns, touring these true ghost towns. Whether it's the exposure to lingering radiation or true phenomena occurring, many tourists and even locals have claimed to see strange creatures and figures in the town and hear weird noises coming from the grounds at night. Are there some radioactive wolves roaming the streets, or are people slightly dazed? We don't know, and we won't for a while. Since the Ukraine war began, the tours have stopped for obvious reasons, but I'm sure many people will be going back soon. The final place to mention today is the Lizzie Borden house. This house was home to the Borden family, a typical New England family with Lizzie living with her stepmother and father. On August 4th, 1892, Lizzie's stepmother and father were found slaughtered in their beds in broad daylight. Not a single person outside heard screams or noises or anything, and thus Lizzie Borden was immediately accused of these murders. Newspapers buzzed with a rhyme. Lizzie Borden had an axe, gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. This was a little bit exaggerated, as her stepmother was hit about 19 times and her father was hit 11. Lizzie was acquitted of these murders, but has always been thought of as guilty, as this is the longest running cold case in history. Lizzie died at the age of 66 from pneumonia, and the house has been turned into a museum and tourist attraction ever since. Today, you can visit the museum, but you can also stay for a bed and breakfast and sleep in a replicated bed to that of Mr. and Mrs. Borden. Many people who have toured have felt the presence of multiple ghosts, and even the tour guides themselves acknowledge that this place is super haunted. Some people who sign up for the bed and breakfast leave in the middle of the night from being so scared. Do you have what it takes to stay there? I'm certainly up for the challenge. Thanks for listening to today's topic on some of the scariest places on Earth. Be sure to check out some of our old favorite TV show reruns and start planning some of your fall festivities and haunted trips. Hope you all enjoy your Wicked Wednesday and your long week.